Well, good afternoon, morning, or evening, depending on when or where you're watching this. Welcome to another episode of Unlock the Vault Express webinars. My name is Daniel Gray. I am the South Australian and Northern Territory Digital BDE for the Ray White Group. And today's session is going to be on office automation and event triggers. So I'm just going to share my screen here and bring up my Vault dashboard. Here it is. So I guess some context, or actually before we go into that, I'd just like to draw everyone's attention through to this help box up the top right-hand side of Vault. If I go into the help section or the Vault hub as it's known, I can see my support request there. If I click that, I can either submit an email support request, or if it's urgent and you need support quickly, you can call them. It's got a number on that page as well. We've also got welcome webinars and webinars for you to watch and upskill on all functions and features of Vault. There's some quick ones, there's some long ones, a lot of 10 to 15 minutes. So you specifically get training on the area of Vault that you'd like to upskill on. So that's the Vault Hub. For today's session, just some context around why automation and event triggers are important. There's some differences between Vault and My Desktop, as I'm sure by now you're familiar with, but essentially the main differences are the ones that I'm going to be covering over today in regards to automation is first and foremost categories. So in My Desktop, if you had a buyer coming in via an OFI or an online inquiry, they would automatically get categorized as a current buyer. In addition to that, if you were to attach a property to those people, it would automatically categorize them as property owners. If I set that as an appraisal, it would automate them into the prospective vendors category. And if I listed it, it would go against the vendors category as well. So there was a lot of automation throughout the categories in My Desktop. Vault doesn't do that. So we can set it up so that new buyers coming into the database are automatically assigned to current buyers. We just need to set that up by default and manually ourselves. And then past that, when we go onto the property ownership categories, we don't actually need to do that automation anymore at all. Vault works off of property relationships. So as soon as a property is attached to someone, it does classify them that they've got a relationship with the property, making them a property owner. And if I was to appraise or list that property, then the respective property relationship changes for you to find throughout the database as well. So under settings, as we go to our automation, we can just see here that we've got set up automation. The first thing that we need to have a look at is this top section here, which is relevant for the holding area. So some of you might be familiar with the holding area. I'll just bring up the dashboard widget so that you can have a clear view of what I'm talking about. I've got my pending inquiries widget here. Another big difference between Vault and My Desktop is that all of your web inquiries, so from domain, REA, or Ray White, will filter into this pending inquiries section first. It's like a limbo that they live in, ready for you to process and ready for you to clean up before they go into the database rather than after. So in the instance that you had Bob Smith with a number of 0400000000 inquire on your property, it's obviously nonsense. You can ignore it, and that person never actually gets added into the database. If you view/add them and it's a legitimate person, they've got their number there, you can call them based off of their inquiry, and it also runs the duplicate check. You can add the inquiry here down the bottom, depending on the circumstance, and that will feed that contact into the database, and it will add it against the vendor report from there. So the good thing about this is you don't have to filter through all your inquiries based on your Gmail account. You can just come straight here to one view overarching of all of the inquiries that are pending, and you can process and call them back or email them back from here as well. Back to this automation. This top box is important because if you wanted to disable that holding area and send people straight through to the database without your confirmation of them being legit or not, just like My Desktop used to do, exactly the same as what My Desktop used to do, you can tick this box, which will disable the holding pot, and you can place them in current buyers or whatever it might be as a category. I don't have current buyers in mind, but you obviously will. So any new inquiry comes in, they go straight to the database, they get attached to the vendor report, and they get placed into a particular category. I'm going to leave the holding pot on for mine, but what I want to happen is those canned responses or those automatic email inquiries that people get once they've inquired on a property, I want that sent out as soon as they inquire. I don't want the system to wait until they've been processed through the holding pot. I want that person to receive that immediate confirmation that their inquiry has been received, and we'll get back to them shortly as soon as they've inquired. So I would tick that box. A few more tick boxes down here. We can tick to automatically email the receipts. So the sender of the receipt will be the staff member receiving the monies, so probably administration, but we can automatically email the receipts of deposits and advertising. We can also tick to automatically advertise agents that a deposit has been received. So instead of manually telling them or manually letting them know, The recipient of the email will be the listing and selling agents associated with the sale, as well as the CFO that we've defined in our update account details, which is just here. So you can tick to automate that as well if you want. This one down the bottom, I don't know why that's ticked in mine, probably because it's a fake database, but I would probably suggest you want to leave that unticked. Automatically advise agents that feedback has been entered against their property. You're going to find that agents are going to get a real ton of notifications if they're automatically advised of things like that. If you want it, go for it, tick it. If you don't, just leave it unticked and click Save Settings. So once we've been through that office automation, we can then set up our triggers. Now, our triggers are what controls the fact that these emails are getting sent out automatically when someone inquires, or it's the fact that people are getting categorized as particular categories when they're coming into the database or otherwise. So you can see I've got a few here, but I'm just going to pretend they don't exist, and I'm going to set up a new trigger. So if I wanted all incoming inquiries, or if I wanted all incoming open for inspection attendees to go into the database as current buyers, I can use an event-based trigger. The alternative is date, but we won't worry about that just now. We can go event trigger, client added from holding area in sales or as lease, that's fine. Otherwise, we can do client added into database or otherwise as well. In this instance, I'm going to do client added from holding area. We've now processed the inquiry in the holding area and they've gone into the database. I want to categorize them as current buyers or local buyers or whatever it might be. If I click tick and click save, I can see that that trigger is now live. It was created by me, and all of those people that are coming into the database off of email inquiries are going to go into current buyers, or in my instance, it's going to be local buyers. The next one that I said before is we can send out that automated email. I have to set up the response first. I can't skip straight into automation. I need to set up the email response that I want them to get sent out. So let's just go create email response. I'll say auto inquiry reply, and I'll name it thank you. Sorry, the subject line will thank you for your inquiry. Hi. Now we'll use merge fields here so that you don't sound too generic. Hi, Daniel. Thank you for your inquiry. Helps when you can spell. And when we do something like this, we can hyperlink that to our office website, not raywhite.com. Make sure you send it through the office website. We want you to get the traffic. And then we can go kind regards, staff member, send a first name, space, send a last name. And then if we really wanted to, we could go send a mobile as well. Done. So auto inquiry reply, thank you for your inquiry. I'm going to make that visible to everyone and we can save that response. Now, by the way, going back to this automation and setting up these triggers, if I'm doing that here as an administrator or a principal or an office manager, then I'm setting up this trigger to be applicable to all listings. You're not doing it one by one. You're not doing it for a specific agent. We're adding the trigger across all listings. So once again, we do event-based and we go client added from holding area sales. Because of that tick box that we set up in office automation, it's not going to be once they've been added from the holding area. It's going to be as soon as they're added to the holding area. And we're going to go send email, auto inquiry reply, save, done. Everyone will now receive that automated reply that I set up. But just so you know, you also have the ability on any given listing, just using this one as an example, to set up a specific canned response just for that property. And doing that allows you to get a lot more specific. So let's just say that that this property was an auction property. I wanted to create a really good auction response, by the way, which can be used across all properties, but auction inquiry response. I understand that, probably 90% of your inquiries off of auction properties, particularly those without price guides, are going to be wanting price guides. So thank you for your inquiry again. And this time we can go hi, first name, thank you for your inquiry on property address. Our vendor has asked us to receive via feedback, and at this stage we don't have a reserve set or a price guide. Please feel free to view nearby comparison properties. Hopefully you guys can spell better than me. Please feel free to view nearby comparative properties. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And then what you can do is you can attach the comparative properties that you might have done through a CMA or otherwise that you've built from the filing cabinet of 12 Whistler Avenue. So 12 Whistler Avenue, it'll bring up the filing cabinet and you've got all those reports here, which you can just send to them straight away. So instead of having to get back to every inquiry saying, we're not offering a price guide, rah, 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 you can just send it then and there in the automated response, which is really, really good. And once again, we would sign that off with kind. I'm under pressure to spell now. It's making me type poorly. First name, last name. There we go. You can design this however you want. Now, in the instance that you're doing this across auction properties, you don't have to set this up manually every single time from that property and write this. You can save it as a template where I was before. So I'm not going to save this one. I'm just going to cancel it. But under settings and email responses where we were previously, I can go into enhanced property templates. So you can see that I've got a few here. Residential auction inquiry, for example, that will link through. I can't even spell my property now. There we go. 12 Whistler. That will link through to the canned responses. And I can just straight away attach that from here. Residential auction inquiry, property specific. There it is. Not the one I just typed. I've previously made this one. Thank you for your inquiry. You do have to do this up the top. But anyways, you get the gist. You can see that you're attaching that specific to that property. You would do it against the holding area. You would save it, and then that will get sent out for that property, and it will override the generic one. So you don't have to unapply the generic one from all properties. It's just that it knows that this one's going to get sent out to the holding area of that particular property. And I think that's it. So just before I let you go, I will quickly draw your attention to the gen5.re white website. So gen5.rewhite.com, it's your one system landing page. I'm going to open up Whiteboard really quick and just show you that there is a bunch of Vault information on Whiteboard. So Vault and then enter. You can see more demonstration webinars. You've got Vault on demand webinars and a whole lot more information on Vault. I'm also going to open up my Google Drive here. And let's just say I was in my Drive, like you guys probably usually will be. If I go training videos, you can see that the national training videos library is here, one system in digital, just for example. It's got a whole bunch of assets that you can watch at any time of all the sessions that we did, throughout COVID last year and ongoing about all sorts of things. 2.0 explained, OMC coordinator induction, things like Active Pipe and Vault and the integration that we've got that's been improved since my desktop. Nurture Cloud, new releases, all this sort of stuff. So you can access that library there. And with that, I'm signing off. I'm letting you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you got something out of that, and I will see you next time.